Hi class, and welcome to our 1.2, 1.3 first lesson. For this notes, we'll be doing something a little different called Cornell Notes. Not all of our notes will be guided on a sheet of paper printed out by me, but I will be teaching you how to take your own notes in a organized fashion. So let's get started. For this, you will need a sheet of paper and a pencil. Every time we take Cornell Notes, we'll start off the same way. Take your sheet of paper, and you're going to fold it not all the way over, but just about to this point. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. This line needs to be about this much away from this red line, okay? Then you're going to crease your page. Open your paper back up, and then you'll have it divided into two sections. We're going to go ahead and start by putting the title of our section at the top. And today we will be talking about converting fractions and decimals. Okay, and I'm also going to put the day's date right beside it. Okay, now skipping one line, you are going to draw a line down that crease that you just drew all the way down. So your paper should look something like this. For Cornell Notes, the left side of the page is going to be used to identify our topic, and we'll actually take our real notes on the right side of the page. So let's jump right into it. On the left side of the margin, you're going to write Roman numeral 1. Our first topic is going to be how to convert fractions to decimals. So go ahead and write that down now. When converting fractions to decimals, you want to keep the following things in mind. We're going to go ahead and write letter A because this is going to be our first note. Please remember that when we have fractions, the top number is always the numerator and the bottom number is always the denominator. When you're converting fractions to decimals, you want to remember to divide. How you set it up, your division problem, will be like this. Numerator divided by the denominator. Okay? Or, in terms of A over B, we could say A divided by B. Okay? Now, let's jump into some real problems. Without skipping a line, go ahead and write example 1/2. Okay? Now, if I want to convert 1/2 into a decimal, what I would do is I would set up my division, 1 divided by 2. Recognizing that 2 can't go into 1, I would go ahead and put my decimal place, top and bottom, and a 0. I know that 2 can go into 10 5 times. Okay? 5 times 2 is 10. And I'm left with no remainder. I can go ahead and fill in a 0 here. So that means that 1/2 is the same thing as the decimal 0.5. Alright? If you want to try this one by yourself, you can pause now. Or you can watch me solve. Here we go. Same thing. I'm going to set my division problem up as such. 12 divided by 5. 5 cannot go into 1 any times, but 5 can go into 12 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10, which leaves me with a 2 as the denominator. Since I don't have anything else, I'm going to put my decimal here and at the top as well as a 0. Bring that 0 down. 5 can go into 20 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20, which leaves me with a remainder of 0. So 12 over 5 is the same thing as 2.4. Okay? Finally, for our last problem, we're going to see what it's like to do this with a mixed number. Okay? Now, this number right here, we have to keep in mind that this is a whole number. So if it's a whole number, when I'm doing my decimals, I can put this in the ones place already, okay? But this is not a whole number. It's a fraction. So if I know that this is a fraction, that means I need to take this fraction over to the side and do the division. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come over to the side and we're going to divide it out. Okay? Now, if you paid attention to the top, we also had a half, so we know that the final result of this is going to be 0.5. Okay? Now, since that's 0.5, and we have this 2 over here, then all we have to do is think of it like this. 2.0 plus 0.5. That's going to give us 2.5. So 2.5 is the same thing as 2.5. Okay? Now, when we get to converting to mixed numbers to improper fractions, then we could just change this into an improper fraction and then just divide out like we did here. All right? Let's move forward. Skip one line, and on the left side of your page, you are going to write converting fractions to decimals, Roman numeral number 2. Okay? So we're moving on to our next topic, converting decimals to fractions. So how exactly do we go about doing that? Well, when we're converting decimals to fractions, we have to remember two things. A, we need to remember place value, just like we talked about before. And B, we need to remember to simplify when needed. Just because you put a fraction in its fraction form the first time doesn't mean it's already simplified. So simplify when needed. Let's jump into our examples. Example 1. Okay, we have 0.5. So I know that there's nothing in the ones place, but there is something in the tenths place. Okay, there's a 5 in the tenths place. So 0.5 is the same thing as saying 5 over 10. 5 tenths. Now this can be simplified because the top and the bottom are both divisible by the number 5. So in order to simplify that, if I divide the top and the bottom by 5, I end up with 1/2. So 0.5 is the same thing as the fraction 1/2. Excuse me, a half. All right, moving right along to our next example. Skip a line and write down negative 2.1. Now going back to what we just talked about, we know that this is in the ones place. So that means we're going to have a whole number. But this is not a whole number. This is in the tenths place. All right? So this would be the same thing as saying negative 2, a whole number, and 1/10. Okay? And this would be our mixed number answer. But how do we change this mixed number into an improper fraction? We're going to jump right into that now. Skip a line. We're going to move over to our final category on the left side, which is actually going to be converting mixed numbers to improper fractions. Make sure you put Roman numeral 3 on the left side of the cursor. Okay? When solving problems that require you to change a mixed number to an improper fraction, remember that we're going from a format where we have a whole number and a fraction to a just straight up fraction, improper fraction. So remember, we're going to multiply, add, keep. So what I want you to do very quickly before we solve any problems is listen to me sing the song, and then I want you to write the song in your notes. So here it goes. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply the whole number times the denominator, add the numerator, keep denominator. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply the whole number times the denominator, add the numerator, keep denominator. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply the whole number times the denominator, add the numerator, keep denominator. Multiply, add, keep. Multiply, add, keep. Now, let's solve some problems. I'm going to multiply, add, keep. So I multiply the whole number times the denominator. 4 times 2 is 6. Add the numerator. 6 plus 1 is 7. Keep denominator. I'm going to keep the same denominator. So my final answer is 7 over 2. All right. Let's try it again over here. Multiply the whole number times the denominator. What's 9 times 3? 9 times 3 is 27. Yes. 27. Multiply the whole number times the denominator. Add. 27 plus 4 is 31. Keep denominator. Multiply, add, keep. Okay? I think I did that right. And if you need to come over to the side and do it, you can. Multiply the whole number times the denominator. Add the numerator. Keep denominator. Okay? All right? I want you to try these two. Pause it and see if you can try them. All right? If you want to work them out with me or you've already tried them, let's get into it. Multiply the whole number times the denominator, 22. Add the numerator, 4, 24. Keep denominator, keep 11. Multiply, add, keep. Now, last problem. Multiply the whole number times the denominator. What's 9 times 5, guys? 9 times 5 is, you guessed it, it is, come on, 45 plus 2 is 47. Keep denominator, 5. Multiply, add, keep. Okay? Now that we're done with our notes, I want you on a separate sheet of paper to solve the following problems. Okay? First, you're going to convert the following fractions to decimals, showing all your work. If you want to pause now and do it, you can. Next, you are going to convert the following decimals to fractions. Simplify and change to an improper fraction if necessary. And finally, you're going to convert these mixed numbers to improper fractions using the multiply, add, keep song. When you're finished working these problems, let me know, and then I will direct you to the answer key video or the actual answer key that you can use to check your work. Have a great one.